The tropics we are watching as we go closer through the weekend here and into next week, as we have a tropical system to watch for Texas, Louisiana, and the deep south coming up. And we have a refreshing brand of air with cold front moving across the country. We're going to get into the details in today's weather forecast. Welcome back, everyone, to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage on this Saturday, September 7th, 2024. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for the latest weather information right at your fingertips here as we provide you the latest on the tropics coming up throughout the tropical season, the winter weather coming up here in a few months as well. We're going to cover everything that you need to know in the forecast here every single day that we do videos and live streams. So make sure to subscribe to the channel down below, like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll also get to those later on today. What you're looking at right now is your GOES satellite imagery, and you have a cold front that extends from Ontario and Quebec, Canada, with a low pressure system attached to it all the way down through the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and into the Southeastern U.S. Behind the front, we're seeing a much more refreshing, less humid brand of air and a fall preview with a lot of our temperatures over the next couple of days and drier weather as well with lots of sunshine out there. And let's show you that. Here is your surface pressure and fronts today. And you can see there's that cold front. You got that low pressure system up there in Quebec, cold front extending down through the Northeast, the East Coast in general, all the way down here toward the Gulf Coast. High pressure. This is a Canadian high pressure system, which means a lot of this air coming from the Northwest to the Southeast, from Canada into the United States. And that will continue with a double-barreled area of high pressure as we go into Sunday. One back here into the Midwest, another one over here in toward the Mid-Atlantic states. So what this means, when you have a lot of high pressure, you get a lot of sinking air, and that means a lot of sunshine out there. Sunsplash skies this weekend with cooler temperatures, and you can expect very dry skies across much of the country, the central and western part of the country. A little bit of some precipitation, could be heavy at times in Quebec near that low pressure storm track. We could be seeing 1 to 2 inches of rain there, and maybe some rainfall around a quarter, half an inch into New York State, up into Vermont, New Hampshire, and then some heavier rains for Florida and the southeast coast as we go through the weekend here this weekend. The bigger story is going to be the refreshing, more, less humid air mass that we do have residing across the eastern U.S. this weekend. Today, look at our temperature anomalies are 25 degrees roughly below normal from southeastern Canada into the Great Lakes region, including parts of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley, whereas in contrast, the western U.S., like Washington State and the Cascades region, into Oregon, Idaho, Montana, even down into California, we're 35 degrees above average here for today. And then as we go into Sunday, you can see that colder air starting to settle in with fall temperatures across the east, 20 to 25 degrees below average as we go into tomorrow there. And then some of that warmer air moving its way up from the Pacific Northwest into the southern Canadian prairies. So British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Canada will be warming up around 30 degrees above average as we finish the weekend on Sunday. So what does this mean for our temperatures? Here are your afternoon highs today, and you can see 60s is all we'll be able to muster across a good portion of the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and interior New England this afternoon. And even like New York State, some areas may only hold down into the 50s this afternoon. 70s, 80s, a nice refreshing air further south, like the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 87 this afternoon, whereas in contrast, areas in Washington State, Oregon, California, Idaho, and Nevada will be in the 90s this afternoon. And look at, as you head off to church tomorrow morning or have any errands to run, look at our low temperatures across portions of the Chicagoland area into northern Illinois. Those lower outlying areas could get some patchy frost even, with lows in the mid and upper 30s. 40s waking up across Indiana, Ohio, parts of West Virginia and Michigan, some 50s and 40s as well over into southeastern Canada and the Northeast. So a cool start to the day, and it'll be a cool end to the day as well. Sunday afternoon, more of the same, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Just a refreshing brand of air across the eastern U.S. this weekend, and some of that heat into the 90s spreading all the way up into central Saskatchewan, Alberta, and southern Manitoba Sunday afternoon. As we head into the new work week, Monday, September 9th through Friday, September 13th, that ridge that we see out west is going to start to become more progressive and move further east into southeastern Canada, and that will be replaced by a trough across the west and Pacific Northwest as we go into next week. So what that means is we're going to start to cool down across the coastal regions out west. We're going to see that ridge of high pressure move east, so that's going to bring the warmer, more unseasonably high temperatures further to the east, further into Ontario and the upper Midwest. So areas that are cool this weekend will start to gradually warm up through next week, and then we have cooler temperatures underneath that across the southeast, mid-Atlantic, and the deep south as we go into next week in general. So Monday, September 9th, here is your cool day. We start the work week off on a good note across portions of the east. 60s, 70s for highs, some 80s and 90s there back into the plains and the Rockies. Wednesday is the day that we're going to start to see that heat spread a little bit further off to the north and east into areas of the Midwest that are in the 60s and 70s today. We'll actually be in the 80s and 90s as we go into Wednesday, midweek, and especially the end of the week on Friday, September 13th. So we're going to be getting that Indian summer, if you will. We're going to be seeing that second summer across the east as we go into Friday. Looking at the precipitation anomalies for next week, it's going to be pretty few and far between to get a lot of precipitation with high pressure and firm control. Although, do you see down here, the Texas coastline and the Gulf Coast, well above average precipitation anomalies, and that is tied to our next tropical disturbance that we are watching. Overall, the National Hurricane Center, Miami, Florida, is keeping an eye on two investigative areas of tropical development potential. One has a very low potential out here in the main development region, and if that forms, it'll be a fish storm. We are continuing to monitor an area that is just off the Yucatan and moving into the Bay of Campeche and the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. That, my friends, has a 60% chance, a greater than 50-50 shot of developing over the next 5 to 7 days, and we are getting to the peak of the hurricane season in the Atlantic. That does include the Caribbean and the Gulf, so that is actually this upcoming week. And looking at those sea surface temperatures where the system is, it couldn't get much warmer, folks. The shelf waters here are pretty warm, and just the body of water into the western and southwestern Gulf is very warm. So if the system develops, it will have legs with it, as it does have those water temperatures supportive of that to developing into a stronger system. Here is the latest ensemble guidance of the track potential of the system, moving off the Yucatan here today into the night, and then over the open waters here. This could strengthen quickly potentially as we go into early next week, and this could strengthen with those shelf waters and those very warm waters in the Gulf of Mexico here near Texas, and we're going to keep a very close eye on it. We're going to show you 3 model runs to give you an idea of what this system could do. Here's the American model, the GFS, on Monday, September 9th. It develops a 1,005 millibar low just east of Mexico off the coast, bringing heavier rainfall into the east coast of Mexico. Quickly strengthening, we showed you those sea surface temperatures, very warm, so that strengthens to a 985 millibar low into the middle of next week on Wednesday, just off the coast there of Texas, of Corpus Christi there in Brownsville, and then moving into the heart there of Louisiana as a 994 tropical storm or even a Category 1 hurricane as we go into Thursday, September 12th, later next week. That's the American GFS model. Compare that to the ECMWF, that's the European model guidance on Monday, shows a weaker system on Monday starting off, a pretty weak system, an open wave overall, just producing some heavy rainfall down here into coastal Texas, much of Louisiana, southern Mississippi, Alabama, and northwest Florida on Wednesday, and same thing there on Thursday. It just begins more of a rain system, a little bit more disorganized on this model, so a big difference there. Now we turn to the Icon model, and this model does pretty well into the hurricane season so far, and you can see on Monday that's a 1,003 millibar low, very similar to the GFS, maybe just a tad bit stronger, and then that develops into a hurricane most likely and moves it up there towards Louisiana as we go into the middle of the week on Wednesday, and then spreads that heavier rain up toward Tennessee and the Tennessee Valley, maybe even an attendant severe weather threat on this model across Georgia, the Western Carolinas, and Northwest Florida if this model ends up verifying. So something to keep tracking over the next few days, and you bet we'll be tracking it right here for you on this channel. So subscribe to the channel down below for the latest weather information right at your fingertips. We will continue to provide them to you here on this channel. Turn on all post notifications for any videos, live streams we do moving forward. Like the video by giving it a thumbs up up if you did enjoy today's weather forecast. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those later on today after the video, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.